This is the briefing for Friday, January 16th. Well, the rotation that we've been in for quite some time continues, and now it appears that we're in a time frame rotational pattern. The first time frame, by the way, this being the spiders on a daily basis, the first time frame being this area of rotation, second time frame being this area of rotation, and the third time frame being this area of rotation at the upper extreme of this area and this area. So it's multiple time frame rotation at an important key reference area. Now, it is possible, or it is common for a market, if it lingers at a key reference area like this, for traders to decide that there's not enough strength in the market to continue the trend. The trend that we're talking about is an uptrend, as you can see here. And then we went into this pause, and then you get some type of rotation back to the downside. I'm not so sure that that's the case right now. I think the market is looking for a reason to go higher, but it just hasn't found it yet. The issue I have really with what's going on with the indices is in the market internals. Now you can see this is volume in the spiders. So volume in the spiders was down over the last 2 days. This is 52-week highs minus 52-week lows, and it's still fairly strong. I mean, it closed today at 280, and it was up at one point at the 550, 600 area. Market breadth. This is market breadth for the NYSE. And you can see it was only negative 371 shares in today's trading. That's why we didn't see much of a price decline in today's trading. Net volume was negative, but it just really not a whole lot of strength to the downside in net volume either. So really not seeing a whole lot of movement in terms of the internals, whether they're going to support a move to the upside, which would be a breakout move, or a rotational move back to the downside. Keep in mind that we're rotating around this area of rotation here, so these upper extremes of these daily candles are shorter term key reference areas. If you want to narrow down and look through a microscope at what will happen here. So you can see we're just rotating at and above this 690 area, which is a very, very important area. Now I would suggest that breaking, this is the low from Wednesday, breaking that low, which comes in right around the 685 area, would suggest a test of this low. Breaking that is going to suggest a test of this low. And of course, it's just very, very important for the internals to confirm whichever movement we get, whether it's a break to the upside or a rotational break to the downside. Looking at the Qs on a daily basis, you can see the same rotational pattern. The only difference is we've got, this is one time frame of rotation, this is another time frame of rotation, and then this is a third time frame of rotation. Still not breaking through this trend line, this uptrend line here, and of course not even testing yet this 636, 637 area in the Qs, which is the all-time highs. Volume ticking up slightly in the Qs. In the Nasdaq breadth only 679 shares negative, and net volume was positive in the Nasdaq. So a little surprising to see even as much of a downside move as we saw in today's trading in the Qs, based on the strength of the market. Even though breadth was negative, it just really wasn't that negative that would suggest that there's strength to the downside and that we're going to see potentially a breakout move, at least not at this point in time. Interesting though, in the Russell has already broken out. It has broken out of this area of rotation and continues its climb, as you can see right through there. Volume's basically flat in the IWM. Russell breadth only negative 543 shares. So it makes sense that the Russell really had no place to go and struggled to even put in, I think it put in a slight new high over yesterday's high. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Positive net volume in the Russell. So really just there's not a lot of weakness from an internal perspective, but there's not a lot of strength either, suggesting the potential for a continuation of a breakout move, except for the Russell, which is diverging from the other two indices and really making a nice breakout move, trading above this 255 area. That now is very important support in the IWM. Looking at where we are in terms of overbought and oversold, we're not moving anywhere. We are just still basically neutral, been that way for the last couple days. So we're neither overbought nor oversold. And then, of course, looking at where we are in terms of total volume in the NYSE ticking up, but net volume down. That's a little bit of weakness that we're seeing. And then, of course, this is NASDAQ volume, which was down, and net volume up, which was positive in the NASDAQ, which is very, very interesting to see, at least for these two indices. In terms of the percentage of stocks above the 20-day and 50-day moving averages, you can see right here that this 330 was really not very strong, and also not very weak. In terms of the 50-day moving average, you can see it's still fairly positive, but this is a little bit more lagging than the 20-day moving average. This is in the NYSE. In the NASDAQ, you can see really still fairly strong, a percentage of stocks above the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. And the same thing with the IWM, pretty strong. So we're not seeing any divergences really in what's happening with the percentage of stocks in the indices trading above their 20 and 50-day moving averages. They're still holding up fairly strong, which you would expect if we're going to see some type of move to the downside, that we'd be seeing some deterioration in these indicators here, which would predict potentially that we're going to see some type of move to the downside. On the other hand, they're holding up pretty strong. So it's going to be interesting. Markets are closed on Monday, so it'll be interesting to see how we open on Tuesday. And especially, it's going to be very important to keep an eye on the internals, because this is where it's going to give us an indication of the next greater degree time and price move. Have a great long weekend. I'll pick this back up on Tuesday.